On Thursday, May 1st, 2014, at an apartment complex in Osaka, Rika Okada's mother stood at her daughter's door with a heart full of anxiety. She had a feeling that something was wrong with her daughter, a feeling stemming from a series of unusual behaviors. Although they didn't live together, the mother and daughter maintained a habit of regular phone conversations to share everyday stories. However, since March, this seemingly unbreakable habit had been abruptly severed. Her daughter no longer picked up calls, and their text messages and emails became increasingly infrequent. What worried the mother even more was that the tone in her daughter's rare messages now seemed very unfamiliar, as if written by someone completely different. Beyond that, Rika's social media presence, she typically updated every moment of her life on Facebook, had become unusually silent. For the past 2 months, her profile seemed abandoned without any new status updates, only occasional replies to others' comments. This silence was completely opposite to Rika's previous habit of regularly sharing everyday moments, interesting experiences, and reflections on work. The mother's heart tightened whenever she thought about the terrible things that might have happened to her daughter. Yet, the occasional reassuring messages from Rika's phone number gave her a suspended feeling between fragile comfort and deep, unshakable worry. That day, her last pillar of support collapsed when she received a notice demanding payment of management fees from the building management where her daughter lived. A feeling of unease swelled, prompting her to verify the situation herself. Standing outside the apartment, she knocked for a long time without response, eventually using the spare key Rika had given her. When the door opened, a strong stench from the long, unventilated space hit her nose. The apartment was immersed in frightening silence, as if long abandoned. Anxious steps led the mother to the bedroom, and immediately the dark red stain soaked into the tatami mat beside the bed shattered the last ray of hope in her heart. With trembling hands and a bitter heart, she hurriedly called the police. Police arrived at the scene just minutes later. They conducted a thorough examination of the apartment, but found no signs of forced entry or obvious disturbance. However, 2 details stood out. Rika's household registry and some cash had disappeared, signs indicating this wasn't an ordinary case. Many areas in the apartment had been carefully wiped clean, but strangely, the bloodstain on the tatami mat in the bedroom had been overlooked. DNA testing quickly confirmed these bloodstains belonged to Rika, along with biological traces on a knife found in the kitchen. Rika Okada, 29, was a nurse who worked at a nearby hospital and lived alone in this apartment. According to her friends, she was a dynamic, approachable woman with a cheerful and optimistic personality. Rika's Facebook page was once where she shared positive messages, inspiring many around her. To her close friends, she was a reliable sister figure, always listening, ready to share, like a warm ray of sunshine in their lives. When questioned by police, Rika's friends said they hadn't seen her for a long time, with the last possible memory being around March. Notably, not long after that, an unusual post had appeared on Rika's Facebook page, a mood completely contrary to her usual style. In the post, she wrote that she was shaking with anger over something extremely unpleasant. However, this negative emotional content was quickly deleted, leaving many questions and confusion in the hearts of those close to her. According to attendance records from the hospital, Rika last went to work on March 21st. Colleagues at the hospital recalled that on her last day of work, Rika behaved completely normally, showing no signs of anything unusual, even smiling cheerfully to say goodbye to everyone at the end of her shift. However, the next day, the hospital suddenly received an email from her, saying she wanted to take some time off. This brief email made colleagues feel worried, but when they saw her still interacting with friends on Facebook, posting some words of encouragement, they felt reassured. During her leave, colleagues called her but always got no answer, eventually going to voicemail. In the message, a voice claiming to be Rika sounded somewhat hoarse and distant, as if there was some layer of separation. Everyone felt that voice somehow didn't sound like her. The situation became more suspicious when the building manager discovered Rika hadn't paid her April management fee. After many unanswered calls, he received a message explaining that she was still away and couldn't make the payment. When the manager proposed the reasonable solution of contacting Rika's mother for payment assistance, the response was surprising. "My mother is very busy, it's not convenient." For those who knew the close relationship between Rika and her mother, this answer couldn't help but cause confusion and suspicion. Another clue emerged from neighbors' accounts. They recalled that a few weeks earlier, the sound of a heated argument had echoed through the hallway. In it, a high and agitated female voice, seemingly like Rika's, but due to the intensity of emotions, neighbors couldn't confirm for certain it was her. The question became increasingly urgent. Where had Rika gone? Her last status on Facebook seemed to contain a mysterious message. "Something good will happen next month, right?" On the surface, the statement carried hope, but hidden deep in the words was an unfading weariness and a burning longing, like someone trying to find the last ray of light in the thick darkness. As the investigation expanded, police discovered a series of suspicious actions that occurred after Rika requested leave from work. In a short period, she, or someone impersonating her, had registered no fewer than 6 new credit cards and made many unusual spending transactions. Particularly notable among these was a payment for express delivery service, behavior completely contrary to Rika's typically cautious financial habits. Further investigation led to an important discovery. On March 23rd, just 2 days after Rika disappeared from her workplace, an express delivery company received a call from someone claiming to be her. The caller requested shipping a package declared as a doll from West City District, Osaka, to an address on Natsuyu Street, Hachioji City, Tokyo, a distance of about 310 miles. The next day, when the delivery person arrived at the registered address to collect the package, he couldn't help but be shocked by the enormous size of the waiting shipment. It was a rectangular cardboard box nearly 6.5 feet long and weighing over 110 pounds. Faced with the courier's obvious hesitation, the sender quickly explained that inside was just a clay doll and could be transported normally without worry of damage. Reassured, the delivery person accepted this special package. Despite the challenging size and weight, the company completed the delivery to the destination within just 1 day. However, the information on the shipping slip made the police extremely suspicious. Both the sender's and recipient's names were listed as Rika, a woman who had lived in Osaka from childhood to adulthood, with no property elsewhere. Why would she send such a huge package to Hachioji, 310 miles away? What was hidden behind this? Tracing transaction records from newly opened bank cards under Rika's name, police discovered a notable detail: a payment for renting a small storage unit in Hachioji City, occurring not long after she requested leave from the hospital. Testimony from residents living near the area revealed that days earlier, they had witnessed a group of delivery workers struggling to carry a huge cardboard box into that very storage unit. From the detailed description of size and shape, police quickly connected this to the mysterious doll package sent from Rika's home in Osaka. Without hesitation, the investigation team immediately arrived at the suspicious storage unit. As soon as the metal door was pulled up, a strong stench, unmistakable for any other smell, hit their noses. In the dark and damp space of the storage unit, the enormous cardboard box lay there, silent, but emanating an eerie atmosphere that couldn't be explained. With the forensic team's support, police carefully approached and opened each layer of the box. Inside, they discovered a concealment project prepared with care: multiple layers of cardboard, bed sheets, and even waterproof plastic sheets. And then, when the final covering layer was lifted, a horrifying scene appeared. Rika Okada, the woman who had been missing for many days, lay motionless in the box. She was still wearing her familiar nurse's uniform, but showed no signs of life. The forensic report later revealed the incredible cruelty. Rika's body had over 50 knife wounds, with the deepest penetrating 4 inches. All wounds were inflicted through the clothing, and notably, no defensive wounds were found, a sign that the victim may have been attacked suddenly or from behind. Remarkably, the victim's body had been almost completely drained of blood, an action believed to be intended to reduce weight for easier transportation. The cause of death was determined to be acute blood loss, and the time of death was estimated to be over 2 months prior, coinciding with Rika's disappearance from the hospital. Analyzing the timeline of events, police determined the murder window to be just 3 short days, from Rika's last appearance at the hospital on March 21st to when the giant package was shipped on March 24th. But a perplexing puzzle emerged before the investigation team. The sender and recipient on the shipping slip were both named Rika Okada. The bank card used to pay for shipping was also registered under her name. The person who signed the storage unit contract was still Rika. And sadly, the person found in the cardboard box was also her. So, who was really behind this mysterious curtain? Investigators quickly approached the storage manager, hoping to identify who actually rented the storage space. However, the answer they received only complicated the situation. The registration process for renting storage there was extremely simple. Renters only needed to send documents by mail, signing contracts remotely without needing to appear in person. The perpetual emptiness of the surrounding area, despite having residents, also contributed to the incident going undetected for so long. When asked about the shipper, the delivery person who had collected the package explained that due to his busy work with hundreds of customers each day, he couldn't clearly remember the face of the owner of this notable package. However, because of the package's special size, he still retained a vague impression. The sender was a woman. Although clues gradually emerged, investigators still faced a picture full of disconnected pieces. How could someone be simultaneously the sender, recipient, and victim in the same case? The answer surely lay somewhere in the maze of fake identities and manipulated financial data. An important detail quickly emerged. The enormous cardboard box used to contain Rika's body wasn't a standard package provided by the delivery company. This specially sized cardboard box wasn't easily available on the market, suggesting the killer had carefully prepared in advance. All signs pointed to one clear conclusion. This wasn't an impulsive act, but a meticulously planned crime. Later, forensic experts successfully extracted a fingerprint from the cardboard box surface. Through the matching system, this fingerprint quickly led police to a specific suspect, Yuri Oishi. Upon deeper investigation, although the shipping slip clearly stated the sender's name as Rika Okada, the contact phone number was Yuri's mobile number. This discrepancy, a small oversight in an otherwise seemingly perfect plan, directly pointed to the perpetrator. Yuri was a 29-year-old woman of Japanese-Brazilian descent with no stable occupation. Her life was a series of difficulties and disruptions. Before elementary school age, she had migrated with her family to Japan, then attended a private high school in Osaka. However, this period of education was painful. Yuri became a victim of school bullying, preventing her from completing her education and eventually forcing her to drop out and return to Brazil. But after returning to Brazil, she also felt unable to truly integrate into local life. After graduating high school, she returned to Japan alone, starting to work odd jobs to sustain herself. In Yuri's elementary school yearbook, she wrote, "My family has a disabled person. After witnessing the inconveniences in my relative's life, I hope to become a teacher at a special school in the future, helping the disabled." However, the reality was that she had gone against her own dream. Yuri Oishi's growth process was a series of consecutive wrong choices. Instead of following the path of social integration, she gradually sank deeper into the underground world of crime. Police records showed Yuri had been a member of a large-scale theft gang, operating mainly in Nara Prefecture, a criminal network with mostly Japanese-Brazilian members. This activity had given her a criminal record after being arrested by police. When facing charges, Yuri always tried to minimize her role, insisting that she only followed others' directions. Yuri and victim Rika were elementary school friends. Former classmates recalled that the two girls often walked home together as they lived in the same area, and their friendship was once very close. As often seen in life, this relationship gradually faded as the two grew up and went in different directions. But fate had arranged a fateful reunion. In February of that year, after many years without contact, Yuri and Rika accidentally met again. The childhood friendship seemed to quickly rekindle, and both became close again, even planning to go out together. On February 1st, Rika excitedly shared on Facebook, "This afternoon I'll meet an elementary school friend, currently living in Tokyo. Haven't seen her for a long time. Really looking forward to it." She had no idea that this innocent joy would lead to tragic consequences. That evening, Rika, Yuri, and two other female elementary school friends had a warm gathering at a bar in Osaka. The four women reminisced about childhood memories, took commemorative photos, and posted them on social media. In the photo, Rika and Yuri sat facing each other, both smiling happily. Who could have thought that behind this warm and beautiful picture lurked a murder motive that would make one's blood run cold? A man who once worked with Yuri recalled that at that time, Yuri was full of energy, always carrying a positive and radiant smile on her face, which had left a deep impression on her. A high school friend of Yuri's, upon learning she was the suspect in this brutal case, felt extremely shocked. She could hardly imagine that their ordinary schoolmate from those years could do something so terrible. During the police investigation, a friend of Rika's suddenly remembered that on the morning of March 22nd, also the day the hospital received the leave request email, she had received a call from Rika. Over the phone, the other party sounded very angry, saying, "Yuri just stays in the house and won't leave, it's unbearable." This call seemed to confirm that the two may have had some intense conflict at that time, and this could very well have been the spark that led to this tragedy. So, why did Yuri ultimately murder her childhood friend? Investigation revealed that Yuri lived in an apartment 500 meters, about 0.3 miles, from the storage unit. Living with her was a foreign student from China named Xiao Yuan. When police arrived at the apartment where the two lived, they discovered it had been abandoned, the room messy, scattered with clothes, bed sheets, and much undisposed household garbage. All signs indicated they had left in a hurry. Nearby neighbors recalled they hadn't seen Yuri and her Chinese roommate for about 2 months. Neighbors heard that the student named Xiao Yuan seemed to have returned to China after graduation, and Yuri told them she would go with Xiao Yuan, after which they never saw each other again. Police investigated her immigration records and discovered Yuri was residing illegally in Japan. 4 years earlier, she had had a financial dispute with another Japanese-Brazilian person and lost her residency status in Japan, and after her visa expired, she was also restricted from renewal. This meant that at the time of the crime, she was in a state of illegal residency. In Japan, her visa had expired years ago. She had no fixed occupation and low income. Thus, the missing household registry of the victim and some cash may be related. Police therefore speculated that Yuri's motive for the crime could be to impersonate Rika and seize her property to escape her difficult situation in Japan. When checking passport application records, police made a shocking discovery. In late March, Rika's household registry had been used to apply for a new passport. She had never had a passport before. However, by that time, Rika had likely already been murdered. The person who actually went to apply for the passport was Yuri. It's hard to believe what technique she used to successfully impersonate Rika, obtaining a passport bearing Rika's name, but with her photo. Investigation revealed that before the crime occurred, Yuri had disclosed to friends her intention to go to China, wanting to find work there. As predicted, immigration records showed she had used the fake passport to fly to Shanghai, China on May 3rd. After arrival, she continued to use credit cards registered under Rika's name to spend, with the total amount exceeding 1 million Japanese yen, approximately $9,000. Thus, the complexity of the case increased. The crime occurred in Japan, but suspect Yuri had fled to China, while her nationality was Brazilian. This made the case involve 3 countries. More complicated was that between China and Japan, there was no official bilateral extradition treaty. Japan could only seek cooperation from China through diplomatic measures and other methods. After learning Yuri had fled to China, many Japanese citizens felt pessimistic about the case investigation, believing that finding a foreigner hiding in the vast sea of people in China would be extremely difficult, with the day of solving the case seeming far off. After being reported by the press, the case attracted attention from various sectors of Japanese society. Some Japanese Brazilians publicly criticized Yuri, saying her actions had disgraced the entire community. Some even worried that if similar events occurred again, the already stereotyped situation of Japanese Brazilians in Japan could become even more difficult. Yuri's father received reporters at his home's door. Throughout the process, his face was extremely serious and heavy. Regarding his daughter's alleged criminal behavior, he only said with a heavy voice that he wanted to see his daughter and talk. After the incident, he and his wife had called their daughter many times but never received a response. They also very much wanted to know the truth of the matter. When asked how they felt about Japanese police issuing a warrant for their daughter, he just helplessly shook his head, saying in a deep voice, "Although very worried, there's nothing more to say now." Some media tried to go to Yuri's residence in Hachioji City, Tokyo for investigation, trying to dig up more clues. There were rumors that the relationship between Yuri and Chinese student Xiao Yuan wasn't just ordinary roommates. They had met 6 years earlier while working at a convenience store. The picture of Yuri's life gradually became clear: the difficult reality of someone living without valid documentation in Japan. Her visa had long expired. Legally, she no longer had the right to legally stay on Japanese territory. However, instead of returning to distant Brazil, where she felt no deep connection, Yuri had chosen a risky path, continuing to live covertly in Japan as an illegal immigrant. Without recognized identity, every aspect of Yuri's life became a struggle. She couldn't officially rent housing, couldn't legally apply for jobs, couldn't access public services or health insurance. In this desperate situation, Yuri turned to a Chinese student named Xiao Yuan for support. Their relationship quickly developed into a close bond, leading to both living under one roof. After using the fake passport to reach Shanghai, Yuri's life remained tied to Xiao Yuan. Witnesses in Shanghai described the two as inseparable. Whenever appearing in public, they always went together. Some had even caught them holding hands while walking down the street, displaying an intimate relationship without hiding. Crime behavior analysts made observations about Yuri's psychology. They believed that after years of living in precarious conditions, constantly facing rejection and barriers, her personality gradually became distorted. A chronic victim psychology had formed, making Yuri always feel unfairly treated by society, thereby creating reasoning to justify wrongful behaviors. In this twisted thinking, all her actions, no matter how serious the crime, could be justified as a natural reaction to the discrimination she had endured. This psychological mechanism not only helped Yuri escape feelings of guilt, but also created a vicious cycle. The more she felt like a victim, the more easily she could harm others without feeling guilty. After nearly a month of running and hiding in Shanghai, fate finally caught up with Yuri Oishi. On May 27th, perhaps realizing the net was closing in, she decided to go to the Japanese consulate general in Shanghai to surrender. Reporters present at the scene described a Yuri with a haggard appearance, a tense and serious face, sitting silently on a bench outside the consulate. Beside her was Xiao Yuan, seemingly whispering words of encouragement or advice, but ultimately Yuri went inside alone, facing the consequences of her actions. At the consulate, Yuri admitted to using a fake passport to enter China. This confession quickly led to her arrest by Chinese police on charges of using forged documents and illegal entry. During detention center staff noted Yuri often wrote and drew in her personal notebook, her face always carrying an undisguisable sadness. These notebook pages later became valuable evidence, revealing hidden aspects of the suspect's complex psychology. It wasn't until May 2016, 2 years after the crime, that the Chinese government formally decided to deport Yuri Oishi back to Japan to face murder charges. This news came like a cool breeze after many painful months of waiting for Rika's family. The victim's parents, upon hearing the news, couldn't hold back tears and shared their feelings on social media. For the past 2 years, seeing no progress in the case, Rika's father had felt extremely pained. The grief of losing his daughter could never fade. His daughter had always lived sincerely and seriously. She had absolutely no reason to be brutally murdered like this. He could not, and would never, forgive the person who took his daughter's life. All he wanted now was for justice to be served, and for the truth of the case to be brought to light. Despite having a close relationship with Yuri, and perhaps holding much information about the case, Xiao Yuan was ultimately removed from the suspect list. After thorough investigation, police found no concrete evidence that could connect the Chinese student to a role as an accomplice in the murder. The prosecution couldn't prove Xiao Yuan was present at the scene, contributed to planning, or provided assistance after the crime occurred. It took nearly 3 years after the crime for justice to begin being served. In January 2017, the plane carrying Yuri Oishi landed at Kansai International Airport. As soon as she stepped out of the arrival gate, Yuri faced a crowd of about 40 eager reporters, the sounds of cameras, shouts, and pressing questions creating a deafening wall of sound. Throughout the journey from the airport to the police car, Yuri maintained an expressionless face, showing no emotion. When a reporter loudly asked about her view on the case, she only responded briefly, almost whispering, "I have nothing to say." Finally, in March 2019, exactly 5 years after the crime, Yuri Oishi's trial officially began at the Osaka District Court. She faced a series of serious charges: murder, robbery, desecration of a corpse, and use of forged documents. The courtroom was packed with observers, from journalists to concerned public, and especially Rika's grieving family. To many people's surprise, at the trial, Yuri completely changed her previous silent attitude. With teary eyes, she admitted to all crimes, expressing deep remorse for her actions. She bowed her head, apologizing for causing immeasurable pain to Rika's family, and for destroying not just one life, but also society's trust. Yuri's tears in court caused much debate. Were they an expression of genuine remorse, or just a final effort to reduce punishment? During the trial, Yuri began to reveal dark details about the motive and process of committing the crime. With an occasionally choked voice, she recounted the chain of events leading to the tragedy. A few months before everything happened, Yuri testified, Xiao Yuan had completed her studies and decided to return to Shanghai to find work. For me, this was a heavy blow. Xiao Yuan wasn't just a roommate, but the only person who cared for and supported me over the years. The prospect of living alone in Japan, where she had no valid documentation, couldn't work officially, and constantly faced the fear of deportation, had created a panic in Yuri's mind. She felt no other choice but to follow Xiao Yuan to China, at any cost. But my visa had long expired, Yuri continued. I couldn't simply apply for a new passport or visa. I couldn't even rent a house, find a job, or live like a normal person in Japan. How could I legally exit the country? It was in this desperate state that a dark idea was born in Yuri's mind. Forge a passport. To do this, she needed someone to impersonate, someone appropriate in age, without a current passport, and especially not living with family to minimize the chance of early detection. With cold calculation, Yuri began screening her social media friends list. Those who had traveled or studied abroad were immediately eliminated, as they surely already had passports in the system. Those living with family weren't ideal targets either, as the risk of detection was too high. During this screening process, a name suddenly appeared in Yuri's mind: Rika Okada, the elementary school friend she hadn't seen in many years. Through social media posts, Yuri knew Rika lived alone, had a stable job, and apparently had never gone abroad. In Yuri's eyes at that time, Rika became the perfect candidate for her dark plan. Therefore, Yuri actively invited Rika to that class reunion. On the surface, it was to reminisce about memories, but her real purpose was to ask Rika to help with making a fake passport. However, despite their deep childhood friendship, Rika firmly refused her unreasonable request. Faced with Rika's rejection, Yuri's inner self was completely desperate. An extreme and distorted thought was born in her heart. The only way to restart her life was to kill someone else, then replace them. After careful preparation, on the evening of March 21st, 2014, she went to Rika's home as an uninvited guest, hiding a small knife in her bag. Although Rika felt something strange, out of politeness she didn't send her away, even allowing her to stay for dinner and overnight. The next morning, as Rika prepared to go to work, and saw that her guest still had no intention of leaving, she gently reminded her, All right, time to go. This polite urging became the last straw. Yuri seized the opportunity again, asking Rika to help make a fake passport, but was once again refused. She realized she couldn't delay any longer. The darkness in her heart completely swallowed her reason, and she acted with cruelty. To pretend Rika was still alive, she not only impersonated Rika's Facebook account to interact with others, but also sent reassuring messages to Rika's friends and family, even sending emails to the hospital requesting leave on Rika's behalf. Afterward, she followed the steps planned in advance, found Rika's household registry at home, and went to the passport center. Because at that time, household registries in Japan didn't have photos, and Yuri had the same gender and similar age as Rika, she successfully exploited this loophole in the identity verification process. During the trial, regarding the crime Yuri had committed, there was basically no dispute. The court's focus of debate centered on the degree of punishment for her. Many trial attendees said they hoped the court could deeply explore Yuri's psychological state when using the huge cardboard box to package the victim and transport her far away via express delivery. Police pointed out in court that Yuri's purpose in performing this series of criminal acts was to impersonate Rika to achieve her goal of going to China. Therefore, they requested the court to sentence her to life imprisonment. However, the defense lawyer argued that the defendant's idea of wanting to replace someone else stemmed from her unfortunate growth process and social environment. This wasn't something the defendant could completely freely choose, so they believed life imprisonment was too harsh. During court questioning, when asked about her age, Yuri's answer was 9 years old. This astonished everyone present. Later, a psychiatric assessment report showed Yuri suffered from dissociative identity disorder, also known as multiple personality disorder. This condition causes the patient's consciousness to divide into multiple independent personalities. These different personalities take turns controlling the body, each with its own character, preferences, and memories. The psychiatrist believed that two personalities seemed to exist in Yuri's body, one with a quiet and shy character, the other bold and ruthless. Yuri claimed in court that when committing the crime, her consciousness was controlled by another personality. At the end of her testimony, she even added, "I don't think I did anything wrong. I have no meaning being here." This statement made people shudder. The defense lawyer argued that when committing the crime, the defendant's ability to control her behavior had been seriously impaired, therefore requesting the court to reduce the punishment. But police strongly rebuffed that when acting, Yuri could accurately stab the weapon into vital parts of the victim, and even after killing had washed the weapon, cleaned the scene, and performed a series of actions to conceal the crime. This showed she had the ability to distinguish right from wrong and control her behavior, so she should bear full responsibility for her criminal actions. The judge pointed out that Yuri's motive for the crime was wanting to go to China to visit a friend, but due to not having legal residency status, she planned to kill Rika to try to get her passport. Although the defendant had pleaded guilty at trial, the judge didn't sense genuine remorse. And although at the time of the incident, she may have been influenced by another personality, this couldn't deny the fact that she herself had committed the criminal act. Therefore, the court found no reason to reduce her punishment. Rika's mother, sitting in the audience, lost control of her emotions many times, in extreme pain. Later, in an interview, she choked with emotion, saying she couldn't feel any genuine remorse from the defendant. She would never forgive the person who cruelly took her daughter's life. After the trial, the court pronounced its verdict. Defendant Yuri was guilty of murder and other charges, sentenced to life imprisonment. After the trial ended, Yuri sat motionless in the defendant's chair, looking dazed, then declared she wouldn't accept the judgment and would appeal. The defense lawyer in the appeal argued that Yuri suffered from dissociative identity disorder. Her capacity for criminal responsibility had been diminished, and the life sentence from the first trial was too harsh. However, the Osaka High Court after trial still upheld the life sentence from the first trial. The judge emphasized in the judgment that the basis for sentencing was Yuri's ability to judge right from wrong and ability to control her own behavior at the time of the crime, and these two aspects were not clearly impaired, so she must bear full responsibility for her criminal behavior. Regarding the court's verdict, the majority of people in Japanese society expressed agreement, believing she deserved the punishment. But at the same time, some different opinions emerged. Some people thought Yuri had demonstrated professional ability far superior to ordinary people in handling the victim and forging identity, making them wonder if she was under the control of the criminal gang she belonged to. Was she just a sacrificial pawn pushed to the front, and was the real mastermind someone else? After this case, more and more people began to pay attention to security loopholes in Japan's passport application process, especially in the aspect of identity verification. To address this deficiency, in 2016, Japan began issuing personal number cards, which not only included basic information like name, date of birth, and address of the individual, but also had the owner's photo, which could be used more accurately to verify identity. From longing for companionship to committing murder, Yuri used extreme means to push both herself and her childhood friend into an abyss with no return. Her distorted desires and cruel behavior ultimately earned her the severe punishment of the law. This regrettable case once again reminds us of the complexity and darkness of human nature, as well as the preciousness and fragility of life. And that is today's case. What are your thoughts on this case? Please share in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next videos.